So I'm here today with John Zimmer, who's in Geneva at the moment. I was actually introduced to you, John, by my friend Vicky, although we never met. We were in Geneva over the same period, I guess. I was there for 10 years before I left a few years ago. So I'd love to start by asking you just to introduce yourself briefly, who you are, what you were doing in your previous career, and what you're doing now.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show, Anna. It's great to be here. I'm from Canada, and my previous career, I was and still am, in fact, a lawyer. I started off my career in a law firm known as Fasken Martineau. It's one of Canada's largest full-service law firms, and I was doing corporate commercial litigation and also environmental law. And because of the environmental law experience, in 1998, I had an opportunity to apply for a position, very interesting position at the United Nations. I was working on a commission heading up a group of legal and scientific experts who were charged with examining claims from different countries suffering environmental and public health effects when Iraq invaded and occupied Kuwait way back. People might remember when Iraq invaded Kuwait and the oil wells were blown up and oil was dumped into the Gulf. And it was a fascinating opportunity. And so my wife and I, who at the time, our two daughters at the time were very young. They were 4 and 2. We left Canada from Toronto where we were living, and we moved to Geneva, Switzerland, so I could take up this opportunity. That went on for several years, and the nature of the commission is such that when all the claims are processed, the commission winds down. From there, I went to another claims program at the International Organization for Migration. And after that program wound down, I went in 2009 to the World Health Organization, where I was doing legal work internally, primarily with a focus on HR, human resources law, so dealing with appeals from staff members, staff rules, staff regulations, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Great. So there's a very rich background there in different international organizations.
Mm.
So I guess what's been the most recent transition for you then?
Well, let's see, now I am a full-time independent professional speaker. I left the World Health Organization in 2015. Let me see. Yes, time flies very quickly. It was March 1st, 2015. I
Mm-hmm.
went 100% freelance. I had, along the way, as I was working at the United Nations, if we go back 8, 9 years or so, I started getting people started asking me for help with different presentations because I'd given lots of presentations. I'd had lots of experience speaking in front of courts, tribunals, at
Mm-hmm.
conferences, and I started giving people a hand with these things. At the same time, I was also a member of Toastmasters International, an organization that helps people with their public speaking. And as I got to meet more and more people through Toastmasters, one of the women whom I met had a contact at the University of Lausanne Executive MBA program.
Mm-hmm.
And she was speaking with this woman, and this woman said, "We'd like to add a component to the program for presentation skills." And my friend said, "Well, I can't do this, but I know somebody who could." And so she put me in touch. So I started doing these, if I can call them, little gigs on the side. And the University of Lausanne program, it flourished. They loved it, and I've been doing it for the last 6, 7 years. I started getting invited to do speeches at different events. I started in 2009 writing a blog called Manner of Speaking, which gained good traction and now has followers all over the world. And all of these things started adding up to the point where I felt like, well, it didn't. It not only felt like, it was the case where I was almost had two jobs. I was doing my work at the UN, but in the evenings and on the weekends, and on my vacation time, I would be doing all these other things.
Mm-hmm.
And so the decision ultimately came. I was thinking to myself, I could actually do this as a career full time, and I love doing it. I love the speaking. I love the energy you get when you really connect with an audience. And I like working very much with people, helping them come along. And it's a great feeling of satisfaction when you see somebody who has a big presentation or wants to become a better speaker, and you work with this person, and then you see this transformation, and they gain confidence, and they have successes, and you see them grow. And so that's really fulfilling.
Mm.
In So in 2013, in the fall, I actually tendered my resignation at the World Health Organization. And to my surprise, they came back to me and they said, uh, would you consider staying part-time?
Mm.
Which took me by surprise. I wasn't really expecting that. But long story short, I said, okay, I'll do it as long as it can be 50%, which is the minimum you could go.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, don't want to work Monday mornings or afternoons. I want to I'll work the first 2.5 days of the week, and then I need the next 2.5 days off so I can actually do these other things. And I did that for pretty much all of 2014. That whole year, I worked 50% WHO, 50% on my own. And that was an interesting experience. I'm glad that I've done it. That's my cat, Pico, coming in to say hello. You want to say hello, Pete? Come on over. Come here.
It's his
Just
20 seconds of fame.
Here we go. There. Say hi to everybody.
Hello there.
This is our little tabby, Pico. 18 years old. Okay, you gotta be quiet. Go.
I'm
Scooch.
allergic to cats, but luckily it doesn't translate virtually.
Yeah. So anyway, that year of working 50% was very interesting. Of course, there were certain advantages to it. You've got the bit of financial stability. But what was most interesting, I think, was towards the end of that year, I really felt that I was getting pulled in two directions. It's almost like you had a foot on two boats and the tide was taking them out in different directions. And so, on very good terms, I said, it's not sustainable for me. And so I decided to take the plunge and go full time as of March 2015.
Well, it's interesting. It's such a big debate, really, if you should, quit your job and then go full time or directly, or to stay and sort of do a side hustle and see if you can build your business on the side. And it sounds like you've done that incredibly well. It's worked really well, going down to part time and then deciding, actually, no, I can do this full time.
I was very fortunate being able to do it that way, and the transition took place at a time when both our daughters were and are now in university, and so there's a lot of change. And I had been the principal breadwinner at home, so there's all these considerations to take into account. And I'm very fortunate that I was able to do it that way. And also because of just the insight of having done it this way, it is doable. It's a challenge, but it's certainly doable. And if people can do it this way to test the waters, so to speak, then it's definitely something that I would that I'd encourage people to take advantage of.
And you mentioned that sort of being pulled in the two directions there towards the end. Do you think that was the biggest challenge that you faced in the transition?
Well, what I realized at the end of that year, as rewarding as it was in many respects, was that if I could continue down that double stream, if we can call it that, but the thing is, I knew I would never be able to achieve everything I could possibly achieve at the World Health Organization, nor would I ever be able to achieve everything I could do on my own. You're kind of caught in this gray zone in the middle. And a well-known public speaker, Scott Birkin, who has written a wonderful book called Confessions of a Public Speaker, and we follow each other on Twitter. And when I put out the announcement, I wrote a blog post about my decision to leave, and he tweeted me, and he just said, there is a power in doing things. In not doing things by half. In other words, there's power in going all in. And so it's definitely something that it's fine to start, but if people really want to go out on their own, there's going to come a point really that you're going to have to say, am I in or am I out?
And on the other side of the equation, it sounds like your boss there was supportive then in terms of giving the part-time, but where else did you get the support to get you through that time, I guess, get you through the transition?
Well, the two main sources, first of all, my wife, Julie, was a huge source and continues to be a huge source of support for me and my two daughters. Alexander and Kristen. It's great to have them behind you. But in addition to that, I'm very fortunate. I have a very strong network of very, very good
Mm.
friends who are also in the speaking world. They live in different cities across Europe. I have very good friends in Barcelona, in Munich, in Paris, in Berlin, here in Geneva, and we come together. We work on events together. We share clients with each other. If an offer comes in and one of us can't do it, we'll contact the other, and it's a very supportive group
Mm-hmm.
of people. And that I think is very important as well, to
Mm-hmm.
start building up yourself a network of like-minded people who share the same passions as you. You can bounce ideas off
Mm-hmm.
them. You can be there for them. They can be there for you. It's a very important component if you're going out on your own.
Yes, I agree. I found that too. And it sounds like you built that up gradually as well before you quit. I guess it can be quite scary just to leave a whole world behind where you've had a whole career and then find yourself alone in the wilderness. So it sounds very sensible again to get that support network in place.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about it being scary. It was funny when I made the official announcement that I was going to leave the
Mm.
WHO. I had a number of colleagues come by the office, and when they heard the news, and they would say, "We heard you're leaving. Or you're going to give up all this
Mm.
security, all of the benefits here. Are you crazy? Are you really going to leave?" And they said that in a very well-meaning way.
Mm-hmm.
And now when I go back, because I keep in touch, and sometimes I go back and have lunch, and I see
Mm-hmm.
some of the same people, and they come up to me and they will say, "You're so lucky. You're on your own. You're doing what you love." And it's funny how you go in some people's minds. You go from crazy to
Yes,
lucky,
yes.
and of course, there's a whole lot more in between. And yes, I mean it's great in so many respects, but
Mm.
as you know, it's a lot of work.
Mm.
There are concerns, there are worries, there
Mm.
are obligations. It looks nice from the outside, and it is
Mm-hmm.
nice, but it's not always easy.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do you think are the challenges then in this new lifestyle?
Well, you could start. I mean, an obvious one is the financial,
Mm.
because you leave the security of a guaranteed income coming in every month
Mm-hmm.
to really not knowing. If you don't work, you don't get paid. Recently, I had to go back to Canada to visit my father. He was not doing well for a few weeks, and I went back, and I gladly go back. Family is family; you have
Mm-hmm.
to be there for them. But of course, it meant shifting things around, giving off work to other people, and losing a couple of contracts. And
Mm-hmm.
again, which is all fine, but it's the reality when you're on your own, as opposed to, for example, you can take vacation time, you still get the
Mm-hmm.
pay coming in. In addition to that, you have to learn a whole bunch of new skills,
Mm-hmm.
depending on who you are. Of course, if you're not administratively inclined, you learn to become administratively inclined very quickly. You have to also be a disciplinarian. You have to budget your time properly. You've got to be disciplined to get up in the morning, to make sure that you're taking time to do your continuous learning and research and writing. Also sending out invoices. Also trying to build up new. Trying to get new work coming in. So you've got all these different challenges that you face as an
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneur, as an independent. But I think the nice thing is that now all of your worries, they are your own. They're not
Mm-hmm.
somebody else's worries. So you're working. When you work for yourself, your problems are your own.
Mm-hmm. Well, that all sounds incredibly familiar to me, I have to say. So, what's the best part of this new career and lifestyle you have?
There are so many nice things
Mm-hmm.
about it. The variety.
Mm-hmm.
No 2 weeks are the same. One week I might be working with a group of, I might work with a group of 15 people for a couple of days with one client. I might give a speech to an audience of 150. I might be doing some writing. I might be meeting, making connections and planning events. Today, for example, I was speaking with a very good friend of mine up in Helsinki in Finland.
Mm-hmm.
This year we are organizing for the third year in a row a big public speaking and presentation conference in Helsinki in the fall. And no 2 weeks are the same.
Mm-hmm.
I also like the fact that I get to meet lots of different people
Mm-hmm.
doing what I'm doing. And people sometimes ask me, do you miss the law? And I enjoy the law, and I do love the law. I think it's a great profession. But the two things that I really liked about the law the most was, one, meeting clients, going out, learning about their business, visiting the mill or the office or the plant or the factory or whatever it was, because I always found that fascinating, and I get to do that. And then the second thing was I enjoyed going to court and trying to persuade the judges to rule in favor of my client. And when you speak, you're doing the same thing. It's not in the legal context, but you are trying to persuade your audience, to get them to take some kind of an action, to inspire them, and that's great. And it's when you like doing what you're doing, then every day it is work, but it's work that you do gladly.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. I think that's the dream for all of us, to find that the work that we love doing so much that, yes, it can be hard and challenging, as you said, but ultimately we're in that position of flow and we're really enjoying it. So that's so great to hear. I guess a final question then is what one piece of advice would you give to somebody who's maybe where you were, I don't know, 5, 10 years ago, I guess, or even a couple of years ago when you were sort of pivoting on, do I give this up or not? What advice might you give someone like that?
One piece of advice.
You can give more. People cheat and give 2 or 3 if they want.
Oh, excellent. Okay, then I'll cheat. I'll gladly cheat. I'll gladly give given an opportunity. I think, first of all, really be clear about what it is that you want to do and why you want to do it. Really just take the time, get away from your office or your home, go out for a long walk, just really sit and kind of think to yourself, is this something that really fires me up? Is this something that I could really be passionate about every single day? And if the answer is yes, then you're on the right track. I would also come back to this notion of have a solid network. Meet people in your field, talk to them, help them out. On social network platforms like LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook or things like that. Yes, it's nice when people help us, but go into these interactions looking how you can help others, because what I have found, and it is the absolute truth, is the more I give away, the more I look to help other people, it comes back 4, 5-fold, tenfold. And other than that, just constantly keep improving, keep up to date, keep up with the latest trends in your field, read, get the books, take the courses, do stuff like that. Always be constantly. I remember Stephen Covey years ago, he talked about this notion of sharpening the saw. Always keep sharpening the saw, because things change quickly, and you got to keep changing with them. So those are a few things to keep in mind.
Great, fantastic tips, thank you. And you mentioned briefly your website, Manner of Speaking. Could you tell us a bit of what we can find there, perhaps if somebody wants to sign up and get some tips from you as well?
Sure. Manner of Speaking is a blog that I started back in 2009. And when I started it, I thought, oh, am I going to keep up with this? And I'd been reading a little bit about blogs and how something like, I'll get the statistic wrong, but it's something like 80% of blogs shut down within the first month or two. And I thought, oh, am I going to keep up with this? And am I going to have enough to say about the subject? And it's been a real labor of love. If people go there, they will find everything from very detailed analyses of different speeches, where I have the video of the speech, and I will do a long, almost minute-by-minute analysis of what the speaker did well, in my opinion, what the speaker could have done better, in my opinion. There are quotes, there are book reviews, there are insights into the technology related to public speaking. There's a whole bunch of stuff. It's this year I should hit my 2 millionth visitor, which is quite nice, and it's the presentation software company Prezi picked it as one of their top 10 favorite online resources for public speaking. I try to keep the tone light and conversational and fun, so people are more than welcome to drop by. They can subscribe completely. Everything on the site is free. There's no promotion for any products or things like that. People can sign up to get the post delivered by mail, or they can just pop in whenever they feel like it. So mannerofspeaking.org. Love to see you there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm definitely going to be checking that out as well as I'm trying to get more speaking engagements over the coming year. So I'll be looking you up as well. So John, thank you
Excellent.
so much. It's a pleasure to talk to you and to hear a little bit about your story. And it's sort of reassuring and fascinating, I think, to hear so many parallels as well, regardless of the career change, what you're moving from and to, and your age or the country you're in. It seems to be very consistent. So it's really great to hear your story. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks again, Anna, for having me here, and thanks again for this initiative, the Fearless Fridays. I think it's great what you're doing, and it's very inspiring to see the stories of so many different people all over the world and all the great things that they're doing. So good luck with this too.
Thank you so much.